For more on this, let's bring in CTV's public safety analyst and former OPP Commissioner Chris Lewis. Chris, thanks very much for joining us this morning.
Good morning, Roger.
Police appear to be a bit, I guess, cautious. Is that the word in releasing information about what's going on? The fatalities, the death toll, they seem to take their time releasing that. Any reason why they might be doing that?
Yeah, there's always an issue when there's such a thirst for knowledge, Roger, a tragedy like this, but police are still trying to get their facts in order before they start potentially wrongfully stating numbers or issues that might ultimately affect a trial down the road. There's somebody in custody here. The suspect is alive, so there's a whole judicial process to go through at some point, as well as making sure the families get the proper information from them, not through reporters and the media at large.
And with that suspect in custody, how does that change the investigation?
Well, the investigation will proceed exactly as it would have if the suspect was dead. The difference here is that they have a suspect alive that they can talk to. They can ultimately find out the motive potentially through the suspect. And then, of course, they have a trial process to go through as opposed to just cleaning up loose ends and ultimately putting a picture together. They have to have evidence to go to court, not just things that they can report on, but actually factual evidence gathered through professionals and through the entire investigative process.
And what are some of the things they'll be looking for in this investigation?
Well, the biggest thing, other than processing a scene and gathering video and doing all the forensic work and notifying families, and I mean, just a significant task, the big issue here is going to be motive. Why did this individual do what he did? Was it tied to terrorism? That'll be the number one question going through all sorts of minds, which would mean it would tie to some sort of political or religious cause, but ultimately that may well not be the case. Was it a mental health issue? Was it a specific attempt to kill somebody in that crowd, somebody specific? Or what was the reason behind all this? That's going to be the hugest factor for them to try and deal with.
And with this situation, we've seen it happen before when a driver goes through a festival like that. Are there things that can be done to protect the people who are on the street enjoying themselves on a beautiful evening?
Yeah, there always is, Roger, but it's always a kind of a rub between trying to make sure it's accessible for vehicles that are going in and out, for emergency vehicles, for vendors that are going in and out, or locking it right down so that nobody can move. And you want people to enjoy the festival. You can't really secure the entire universe. So you kind of try your best, and often that's based on an analysis of the risks, the type of event it is, what the likelihood for something like this is going to happen. And it's just judgment call at times. And of course, the Vancouver police and other emergency response organizations will be looking at that and reviewing it and trying to determine what they could have done better, if anything.
And hopefully, thankfully, these incidents are rare in Canada.
For sure, Roger. This is awful. No two ways about that.
Okay. Chris, thank you very much for joining us this morning. We appreciate it.
Anytime. Thank you, Roger.